Liam Danner stood at the edge of the city, his eyes scanning the horizon. The sun had just begun to dip below the skyline, casting a golden glow over the streets. But to Liam, nothing seemed beautiful anymore. His heart was heavy with worry, his thoughts consumed by the worst fear any parent could have. His daughter, Ellie, was gone. It had happened 3 days ago. Ellie, a curious and bright 10-year-old, had been taken during their visit to a local park. Liam remembered the day so clearly, the way she had held his hand while they walked, the smile on her face as she pointed out the birds flying above. Then, in the blink of an eye, she was gone. There was no warning, no sound, just an eerie silence, followed by the sudden disappearance of his little girl. The authorities had been quick to respond. They had launched a full investigation, but there was no trace of Ellie. No witnesses, no clues. And the worst part, the kidnappers had left behind no evidence, as if they had disappeared into thin air. The police were baffled, but Liam wasn't. He knew who was behind it. The Karvuk Syndicate. They were a ruthless group of aliens, known for abducting children from across the galaxy. The authorities had always warned of their existence, but they had never been able to catch them. The Karvuk were too clever, too elusive. They would appear on a planet, take what they wanted, and vanish before anyone could react. No one had ever managed to stop them. But Liam couldn't just sit back and wait. He couldn't accept that his daughter had been taken by these heartless creatures. He had to do something. He knew he wasn't a soldier, and he didn't have the resources of a large organization. But there was one thing he did have: his determination. Liam had been a pilot in his younger years, flying ships through dangerous sectors of space, dealing with the unknown. He had survived countless close calls and near-death situations. He wasn't a fighter, but he was a survivor. And for Ellie, he would do whatever it took. He had spent the past few days digging into the rumors about the Karvuk. He visited every contact he could find, every shady individual who might know something about them. What he discovered confirmed his worst fears. The Karvuk had been active in this region, and they were getting bolder. They had left a trail, a path of abducted children stretching across the galaxy, and Liam had a gut feeling that Ellie was somewhere in that path. But where? He had learned about a place, a forgotten world, hidden deep within an uncharted sector of space, Viridian Prime. It was a planet that had been abandoned for centuries, once home to an ancient civilization, but no one had ventured there in ages. The world was believed to be a wasteland, its resources long gone. But there were whispers, rumors that ancient technology still lay hidden on the planet, powerful enough to challenge the Karvuk. And Liam wasn't about to ignore those rumors. If there was even a chance that he could find something to help him get Ellie back, he would take it. The journey to Viridian Prime wasn't easy. The planet was located in a remote part of space, surrounded by dangerous asteroid fields and nebulae. But Liam had a ship, an old but reliable craft, and he knew how to navigate through the stars. He didn't hesitate. He charted a course, set the ship's systems, and left Earth behind, hoping against hope that he was heading in the right direction. As he traveled through the empty void of space, Liam couldn't stop thinking about Ellie. He thought about the way she used to laugh when they played together, how she loved to ask him questions about the stars. He thought about her big, curious eyes, and how she'd always wanted to know more about the universe. She was so full of life. He couldn't let these monsters take that away from her. The journey felt endless, and each passing day only deepened Liam's fear. What if he was too late? What if he couldn't find her in time? But he pushed those thoughts aside. He had to believe. He had to keep going. For Ellie, when Viridian Prime finally appeared on his scanner, it looked like a lifeless rock, brown and gray, dotted with ancient ruins. Liam's heart raced. This was it. This was the place where it all came down to. He set the ship down carefully on the planet's surface, the engines humming as they powered down. He knew that whatever he found here, it would be the key to saving Ellie, or it would be his last chance. Stepping out of the ship, Liam took a deep breath, feeling the cold air of the planet against his skin. The ancient world stretched out before him, its secrets waiting to be uncovered. There was no turning back now. Liam's search for Ellie had only just begun. Liam stepped off his ship, feeling the cold, dry air of Viridian Prime against his skin. The planet was eerily quiet, with only the distant sound of wind rustling through the long-forgotten ruins. His boots crunched against the gravel as he moved, the weight of the situation pressing down on him. He had no idea what he would find here, but he had to keep moving. Ellie's life depended on it. The map he had pieced together from old records led him to an ancient city buried deep within the planet's jungle. The city was a ruin now, its grand structures crumbled by time. But somewhere within its depths, Liam believed there was something that could help him. According to the rumors, the Viridians, the long-lost civilization of this planet, had created powerful technology. Technology that, if found, could change the balance of power in his fight against the Karvok Syndicate. He had no idea how the Syndicate might have found this place. Maybe they had uncovered it themselves. Maybe they were using it to hide their own secrets. Whatever the case, Liam was determined to find whatever was left of the Viridians' tech. It might be his only chance to save Ellie. The jungle was dense, the trees tall and thick, their twisted branches creating a tangled canopy overhead. The air smelled of earth and decay. Liam moved cautiously, his hand on the hilt of the old blaster he brought with him. Though he knew it wouldn't be enough to face the Karvok if they showed up. His eyes scanned the surroundings, looking for anything unusual. As he ventured deeper into the jungle, the path grew more difficult. The once proud roads of the Viridians had been overtaken by nature. Vines hung from trees, and thick roots pushed through the stone, creating obstacles that slowed him down. But he pressed on, determination driving him forward. Hours passed, the sun dipping lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the ground. Liam's thoughts drifted to Ellie. What was she going through? Was she scared? Was she even alive? He pushed those thoughts aside, focusing on the task at hand. Worry wouldn't help her. Action would. Finally, as the day turned to night, Liam reached the heart of the jungle. He stopped in his tracks, staring up at the towering structure before him. It was a massive stone building, half sunken into the earth. Its walls were covered in strange symbols that Liam couldn't understand, but they glowed faintly in the dim light. The building seemed to hum with an energy that was both ancient and foreign. This was it, the place the map had led him to, the chamber that was rumored to hold the Viridian secrets. Liam approached the entrance, his footsteps slow and deliberate. The air grew heavier as he neared, as if the very planet was watching him. He placed his hand on the door, and to his surprise, it opened without resistance, revealing a dark, empty hallway inside. The walls were smooth, and the floor beneath his feet seemed to pulse with a strange energy. Taking a deep breath, Liam stepped inside. The hallway stretched ahead, its dark corners hiding what could be the remnants of the Viridians' once great civilization. Liam felt a sense of awe as he walked, the walls seeming to whisper in a language he couldn't understand. The faint glow of the symbols illuminated his path, casting eerie shadows along the corridor. The deeper he ventured, the more he could feel the weight of history pressing down on him. It was as if the very air was thick with the knowledge of an ancient people who had once lived here. Their technology, their advancements, it was all lost now. And yet here he was, standing in the heart of it all, hoping to find something that could help him against the Karvok. After what felt like an eternity, Liam reached a massive chamber. The ceiling arched high above him, and in the center of the room stood a pedestal, bathed in a soft, golden light. On the pedestal rested an object, wrapped in what appeared to be a cloth, though it shimmered as though it were made of metal. Liam stepped closer, his heart racing in anticipation. As he reached out to touch the object, the room suddenly came to life. The symbols on the walls glowed brighter, and the air hummed with energy. A low, mechanical voice echoed through the chamber, startling Liam. It was the voice of an ancient AI, speaking in a language he couldn't understand. But as the voice continued, the words began to translate, and Liam's eyes widened in shock. "Who dares to disturb the slumber of the Viridians?" The voice boomed. "You are not worthy to claim our legacy." Liam didn't flinch. He stood tall, his hand still hovering over the object. "I'm not here to claim anything. I'm here to save my daughter. The Karvok have taken her. If you have any power left in this world, I need your help." For a long moment, the chamber was silent. Then the voice spoke again, this time softer, more thoughtful. "Your heart is pure, human. You seek to protect what is dear to you. Very well. The power of the Viridians may yet help you, but be warned, it will not come without sacrifice." Liam's breath caught in his throat. This was it. He had found something, the very key to saving Ellie. But he knew the journey would not be easy. The path ahead would be dangerous, filled with unknowns, yet he was prepared to face whatever came next. For Ellie, he would do anything. Liam's heart raced as the voice of the ancient Viridian eye echoed through the chamber. The soft, almost ethereal tone had changed, growing more serious. The room hummed with energy, and the golden light from the pedestal seemed to pulse in time with his heartbeat. He had come here to find something, but what he was about to face might be more than he could ever imagine. "The power of the Viridians may help you," the voice continued, "but it is not a gift. It comes with a price. Are you willing to pay it?" Liam took a deep breath. His mind raced. What price could an ancient civilization demand? What sacrifice could he make for Ellie's life? He didn't care about the cost. He only cared about getting his daughter back. "I will pay any price," he said, his voice steady but filled with desperation. The AI seemed to pause, almost as if it were studying him. Then a soft hum filled the room, and the pedestal before Liam began to shift. Slowly it rose, revealing the object beneath the cloth, an ornate, gleaming suit of armor. It looked as though it had been made from a material that Liam had never seen before, a metal that shimmered with an otherworldly glow. The armor was lightweight, but appeared incredibly strong. Its surface was etched with strange symbols, the same ones that covered the walls of the chamber. "This is the armor of the Viridian legacy," the AI explained. "It is the last of its kind. Wield it, and you will have the power to face the Karvok Syndicate. But understand this, the armor does not choose its wearer lightly. It binds itself to you, body and soul. It will test your strength, your will, and your heart. You will not only battle the Karvok, you will battle yourself." Liam hesitated. The armor was beautiful, powerful, and clearly meant for something extraordinary. But the AI's warning lingered in his mind. A bond, a test of heart. Was he truly ready for something like this? Without thinking too much, he reached out and touched the armor. The moment his fingers made contact, a surge of energy ran through him, and the world around him seemed to shift. The room darkened, and for a moment, he felt as though he was falling through space itself. His body tingled as if every fiber of his being was being stretched to its limit. It was unlike anything he had ever felt before. Then, just as suddenly, everything stopped. Liam blinked, his head spinning. He looked down at his hands and saw them glowing faintly. The suit of armor had started to wrap itself around his body, moving like liquid metal. It was smooth, seamless, and strangely warm. The symbols on the armor began to glow, matching the pulse of his own heartbeat. As the last piece of armor settled into place, Liam stood in front of the pedestal, now fully equipped. He could feel the power surging through him, the weight of the armor no longer a burden, but a part of him. It was as if he had become one with the ancient technology. "This is incredible," he whispered, his voice full of awe. The AI's voice returned, though now it had a certain sadness to it. "You are now bonded to the legacy of the Viridians. But remember, this power comes at a cost. It will change you, Liam Danner. You will be stronger, but at what cost to your soul?" Liam didn't have time to consider the warning. He could feel the connection between him and the armor growing stronger with every passing second. The only thing that mattered now was Ellie. The Karvok had taken her, and he would not stop until he brought her home. The AI's voice continued. Your journey will not be easy. The Karvok will come for you, and the path to them is fraught with danger. But the power of the Viridians will be your ally. Use it wisely, and it will guide you. Fail, and it will consume you. I won't fail, Liam said, his voice firm. The AI's hum softened, as though it was somehow pleased with his resolve. Very well. The next part of your journey awaits. Follow the signal that has been left for you. It will lead you to the heart of the Karvok's operation. But remember, time is of the essence. Your daughter's fate hangs in the balance. Liam nodded, his eyes steely with determination. He turned and made his way back to the entrance of the chamber, the armor feeling lighter now, more like a second skin. The AI's warning still echoed in his mind, but it no longer mattered. Ellie was out there, and he was going to find her. Nothing, not even the power of the Viridians, would stop him. As he stepped back into the jungle, the planet around him seemed to come alive. The once silent trees now whispered in the wind, and the air itself felt charged with energy. Liam felt the presence of the armor, guiding him, pulling him forward. The path ahead was unknown, but he would not falter. The armor, and whatever it had unlocked within him, were his tools. And with those tools, he would face the Karvok Syndicate. The fight for Ellie's freedom had only just begun. Liam walked through the dense jungle, his every step powered by the armor's strange energy. The once silent forest now seemed alive, whispering in the breeze as if it were guiding him. His mind was focused on one thing: Ellie. The time for hesitation was long past. The Viridian armor that now bonded with him was not only a symbol of ancient power, but also a promise he intended to keep. The distant hum of his suit echoed in his ears as he moved swiftly through the jungle. The signal from the AI had led him this far, and now he was close. Somewhere beyond this jungle lay the Karvok Syndicate's hidden stronghold. The mission was clear: find Ellie and bring her back. The armor felt lighter now, as if it were becoming part of him. Every motion was smoother, faster. His enhanced senses detected the faintest noises: the rustle of leaves, the distant growl of a jungle predator, the faint hum of technology buried deep within the Karvok base. The armor connected him to the surroundings, giving him the advantage he needed. As the hours passed, Liam reached the edge of the jungle. The trees began to thin, and he could see the distant silhouette of a massive structure rising against the sky. It was a fortress, dark and foreboding. The Karvok's stronghold, no doubt. He approached cautiously, his heart pounding in his chest. The armor's sensors detected movement, shadows shifting in the distance. Liam didn't hesitate. He moved quickly, using the cover of the jungle to his advantage. He had to be quick. He had to find Ellie before the Karvok realized he was here. Liam crept through the underbrush, his footsteps silent. He could see the fortress now, a towering building surrounded by walls and security drones patrolling the perimeter. There was no easy way in, but Liam wasn't expecting it to be easy. His fingers hovered near the controls on his suit, activating a series of cloaking functions. The Viridian technology had given him a new edge, and he intended to use it. He pressed forward, the energy of the armor pulsing within him as he neared the fortress's gates. The air felt charged with tension, the quiet before a storm. He was close now, closer than ever to rescuing Ellie. Suddenly, a voice crackled in his earpiece. It wasn't Ellie's voice, but it was familiar. The AI's voice echoed through his mind, clear and calm despite the danger. You are nearing the Karvok's stronghold. They are aware of your presence, Liam. Proceed with caution. The armor will shield you from most attacks, but the Karvok are not to be underestimated. Liam didn't need reminding. He had already seen the ruthless efficiency of the Karvok during his past encounters. He had to be careful. If they detected him now, all would be lost. As he neared the gates, he noticed a small access point to the side. hidden, almost as if it were intentionally overlooked. He approached it, his pulse quickening as he activated the suit's interface. The armor responded instantly, its systems linking to the access point and bypassing the security measures. With a soft hiss, the door opened, allowing him entry. The inside of the fortress was cold and metallic, the walls lined with dark corridors. Liam's eyes adjusted quickly to the dim lighting as he moved through the hallways, keeping his breathing steady. He couldn't afford to make a sound. Every step brought him closer to Ellie. As he navigated the maze of hallways, he came to a large, circular room. It was empty at first, but then a sudden clatter echoed from the far side. Liam froze, his senses sharp. Something was moving. A group of Karvok soldiers appeared from the shadows, their dark uniforms blending with the environment. They moved with precise steps, each one carrying advanced weapons. Liam's heart beat faster, but he didn't falter. The armor gave him confidence, but it wasn't just the armor. He had a mission to complete. He moved quietly, ducking behind a pillar just in time as the soldiers passed by. They didn't see him. With each heartbeat, he moved closer to the heart of the fortress, closer to where Ellie was being held. But then, a voice interrupted his thoughts, a voice that sent a chill down his spine. Well, what do we have here? Liam spun around, his hand on the blaster at his side. Standing before him was a figure he had hoped to avoid, Karvok Commander Zethar. Zethar was tall, his alien features sharp and angular. His eyes glowed with a cruel, calculating intelligence, and there was something in his expression now. Something Liam had seen before. It was the look of someone who knew they had control of the situation. Looking for something, Zethar said, a twisted smile curling on his lips. Perhaps a little girl. Liam's breath caught in his throat. Ellie. Zethar stepped forward, his hand resting on the hilt of a blade. I've been expecting you, human. But it's too late. Your little rescue mission is doomed to fail. Liam's heart raced. The armor pulsed with energy, responding to his anger. He gripped it tighter, determined to stop Zethar, to save Ellie. The battle was coming. He had to fight. There was no turning back now. Liam's heart pounded in his chest as Karvok Commander Zethar's mocking smile spread across his face. The tension in the air was thick, and the hum of Liam's Viridian armor filled the silence between them. He could feel the power of the suit coursing through him, yet it wasn't enough to calm the rising anger inside him. Zethar had Ellie, and that was something Liam couldn't let go. I will not let you hurt her, Liam said through gritted teeth, his voice steady but filled with determination. The armor pulsed in response, as though it had heard his every word. Zethar chuckled darkly, his eyes glowing with malicious amusement. You think you can stop me? You're just one man, human. Do you really believe you can save your daughter from the entire Karvok syndicate? I'm not just one man anymore, Liam replied. His hand moved to the hilt of his blaster, but his gaze never left Zethar's. Without warning, the Karvok commander lunged forward, drawing a blade from his side with lightning speed. Liam barely had time to react before Zethar was upon him. The Viridian armor surged to life, amplifying Liam's reflexes. He dodged to the side, narrowly avoiding the blade's sharp edge as it slashed through the air where he had just stood. Liam moved fast, faster than he ever had before. The armor responded to his every command. He grabbed Zethar's arm, twisting it to disarm him, but the Karvok commander was quick, spinning and bringing his other blade down in an arc toward Liam's chest. The glowing Viridian armor shimmered as the blade clashed against it, sparks flying. The impact was powerful, but the suit absorbed most of the force, protecting Liam from harm. The metal was strong, stronger than anything he had ever worn. He could feel the energy from the suit rushing into him, giving him more strength, more speed. He needed every ounce of it. Liam stepped back, keeping his distance. He needed to think. The armor gave him the edge, but Zethar was still a formidable opponent. Not bad, human, Zethar sneered, wiping a thin trail of blood from his lip. "But you'll need more than that to defeat me." Liam's eyes narrowed. He couldn't afford to waste time. He had to get to Ellie. The longer he fought Zethar, the longer she was in danger. And he knew the Karvuk commander wasn't alone. There were more soldiers in the fortress, and they would be coming for him any moment. Suddenly, Liam felt a rush of adrenaline as he activated the Viridian armor's special function. The energy shield. The air around him rippled as a transparent barrier appeared, blocking Zethar's next strike. Zethar stumbled back in surprise, his blade clanking against the shield. Liam took advantage of the opening. He raised his arm, launching a blast of energy directly at Zethar. The beam struck the Karvuk commander's chest, sending him crashing into a nearby wall with a thunderous impact. Dust and debris filled the air, and for a moment, everything was still. Liam didn't wait to see if Zethar was getting back up. He sprinted forward, his footsteps echoing in the narrow hallway. He needed to find Ellie. The corridor had split into two directions, but Liam didn't hesitate. He turned left, following the faint signal of his daughter's location. The armor's advanced sensors were pinpointing her. He was close. As Liam rounded a corner, he saw what he had feared. More Karvuk soldiers. They were scattered in groups, patrolling the area, unaware of the danger approaching them. Liam gritted his teeth. He had no choice now but to fight his way through. He silently pressed a button on his suit, activating the cloaking function again. The shimmer of the armor vanished, making him nearly invisible to the soldiers. With stealth and precision, Liam moved among them, taking them down one by one, his movements almost too fast to follow. The Karvuk soldiers never had a chance. Liam's Viridian armor gave him the advantage, his strength enhanced, his senses sharp. Every strike was calculated, every movement deliberate. He wasn't just fighting to save Ellie. He was fighting for everything that mattered to him. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Liam reached a large metal door at the end of the corridor. He could feel Ellie's presence behind it. He didn't pause to think. He pressed a button on his armor, activating the door's override function. With a loud hiss, the door opened. Inside, Liam found Ellie. She was locked in a cage, her face pale and tear-streaked. But when she saw him, her eyes lit up with hope. She reached out to him, her voice weak but full of emotion. "Dad, you came." Liam's heart swelled with relief. He rushed forward, unlocking the cage and pulling Ellie into his arms. "I promised I would," he whispered, holding her close. "I'm here. I won't let them hurt you." But as they embraced, Liam could hear the sound of footsteps approaching. The battle was far from over. Zethar and his soldiers wouldn't be far behind. But now, with Ellie safe in his arms, Liam was more determined than ever. Together, they would escape. And together, they would face whatever came next. Liam's heart raced as he held Ellie close, his arms wrapped around her in a protective embrace. They had found each other, but the battle wasn't over. He could hear the distant sound of Karvuk soldiers closing in on them. Zethar would not give up so easily. They had to move quickly. "Come on, Ellie," Liam whispered urgently, pulling her to her feet. The Viridian armor hummed with energy, ready for whatever came next. The door behind them hissed open, revealing a narrow hallway lit only by flickering lights. Time was running out. "Dad, what now?" Ellie asked, her voice shaking but filled with determination. She had always been strong, even in the toughest moments, but Liam could see the fear in her eyes. They were in enemy territory, and they had no idea how much longer they had before Zethar's forces arrived. "We're getting out of here," Liam said, his voice firm. "Stay close to me." They moved quickly through the hallways, Liam leading the way with his enhanced senses guiding him. The armor's advanced technology made him faster, stronger, and more aware of his surroundings. Every step brought them closer to freedom, but the sound of boots on the metal floors echoed behind them, growing louder with each passing moment. Liam glanced over his shoulder. The Karvok soldiers were almost upon them. He couldn't let them get any closer. He gritted his teeth and pressed a button on his armor, activating a shield that surrounded him and Ellie in a protective bubble. It shimmered with energy, and for a moment, everything seemed to freeze. "What's happening?" Ellie gasped, wide-eyed. "This is the Viridian armor's energy shield," Liam explained quickly. "It'll protect us from any attacks. Just stay close." The soldiers rounded the corner just as Liam activated the shield. Their weapons fired, but the energy blasts ricocheted off the barrier harmlessly. The soldiers stopped in their tracks, shocked by the sudden appearance of the shield. Liam didn't hesitate. He pushed forward, using the shield to block any incoming attacks. The soldiers shouted, trying to figure out how to breach the barrier, but the shield was nearly impenetrable. It bought them time, and that was all they needed. "We have to keep moving," Liam said, pulling Ellie along as they continued down the hallway. The sound of the soldiers' footsteps echoed in the distance, but they were no longer right behind them. They were gaining ground. Liam and Ellie turned a corner, reaching another door. This one was larger, reinforced, and locked. But with a press of a button, Liam bypassed the security, the door sliding open with a soft hiss. Beyond it lay an elevator shaft that led to the surface, a way out. "Come on," Liam urged, leading Ellie into the elevator. He could hear the soldiers yelling and running toward them again, but this time they were too far behind. The elevator doors slid shut, sealing them off from their pursuers. The sound of the elevator's motors hummed to life, and Liam exhaled in relief. For a brief moment, everything was still. The elevator rose slowly, taking them to the surface. Ellie clung to her father, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and gratitude. She had no idea what was waiting for them outside, but at least they were together now. That was the most important thing. "How are you feeling?" Liam asked, his voice soft as he glanced at his daughter. Ellie looked up at him, a small smile tugging at her lips. "I'm okay, Dad. I knew you'd come for me." Liam's heart swelled with pride. She was brave, braver than he had ever given her credit for, and he was determined to keep her safe, no matter the cost. The elevator's movement slowed as it reached the surface. The doors opened with a soft whoosh, and they stepped out into the light. The air was cool, and the vast expanse of the alien planet stretched out before them. It was quiet, too quiet, as though the calm before the storm had settled over the landscape. "Where are we?" Ellie asked, her eyes scanning their surroundings. Liam looked around, trying to get his bearings. The fortress was now behind them, but the Karvok Syndicate's influence was everywhere. The terrain was rugged, full of towering rock formations and dense forests. There was no sign of immediate danger, but Liam knew they couldn't stay here long. The Karvok would be hunting them. "We're on the surface of the planet," Liam said, scanning the area for any signs of movement. "We need to find cover, and fast." They started moving quickly, heading toward a nearby ridge where they could get a better view of their surroundings. The terrain was rocky, but it would provide them with some concealment. As they made their way across the alien landscape, Liam's mind raced. He knew Zethar and the Karvok would stop at nothing to track them down. The chase was far from over, but at least now they had the advantage. The armor's technology gave them the edge, but they couldn't outrun the Karvok forever. Liam turned to Ellie, his face determined. "We're going to make it, Ellie. I promise." Ellie nodded, squeezing her father's hand. "I know, Dad. I trust you." And with that, they continued their journey into the unknown, determined to survive, to fight, and to escape the grip of the Karvok Syndicate once and for all. Liam and Ellie had been on the run for hours. The rugged alien landscape seemed endless, with towering mountains on one side and a thick forest on the other. They kept moving, always staying one step ahead of their pursuers. The Karvok Syndicate would not give up easily, but Liam knew one thing for sure: they could not outrun them forever. They reached a small clearing at the base of a massive cliff, and Liam halted, looking around. The sun was starting to set, casting long shadows across the ground. It was a quiet, peaceful moment, but Liam could feel the weight of everything pressing down on him. He had to make a decision. "We can't keep running," Liam said, his voice low. "The Karvok will find us eventually. We need to make a stand." Ellie looked up at her father, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and resolve. She had always trusted him, and now, more than ever, she knew that this was their only chance. "What do we do?" Ellie asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam took a deep breath and activated his Viridian armor. The familiar hum of the suit was comforting, as though it was alive, responding to his every command. He glanced around, scanning the area. There was a narrow pass leading up the cliffside, and the dense forest would give them some cover, but it wasn't enough to hide them from the Karvok forever. He looked at Ellie. "We're going to make our stand here. I'll take care of the soldiers. You stay hidden, and don't come out unless I say so." Ellie nodded, her face set with determination. She had been through so much already, and now she would do whatever it took to help her father. She knew that this was the moment. This was the moment they had been preparing for. Liam stepped into the clearing, his boots crunching softly on the gravel. The sun was nearly gone now, the sky darkening, but the light from his armor kept the surroundings lit. He could hear the faint sound of Karvok soldiers approaching. They were close. With a final glance back at Ellie, Liam took a deep breath and prepared himself for what was coming. He had no idea how many soldiers were coming, but he knew they would not give up until they had captured them both. The armor was strong, but it wasn't invincible. They would need strategy, and Liam had it. The first soldier appeared from behind the trees, his armor glinting in the fading light. He raised his weapon, aiming it straight at Liam. But before he could fire, Liam moved. He sprinted forward, closing the distance between them in seconds. The Viridian armor gave him incredible speed, and with a swift motion, he grabbed the soldier's arm, twisting it until the weapon dropped to the ground. The soldier cried out in surprise, but Liam was already on him. He slammed his fist into the soldier's chest, sending him flying back with a force that left him unconscious. Without missing a beat, Liam scanned the area for the next threat. More soldiers emerged from the forest, weapons raised. But Liam was ready. He moved like a blur, dodging their attacks and retaliating with precise strikes. The Viridian armor enhanced his strength and speed, giving him an edge, but it was his experience and instinct that kept him one step ahead. Each time a soldier tried to close in on him, Liam used his armor's advanced functions to outmaneuver them. Energy blasts erupted from his hands, knocking soldiers back, while his shield absorbed incoming fire. But the Karvok were relentless, and Liam knew this was only the beginning. Through the chaos, Liam's mind stayed focused on one thing: protecting Ellie. He couldn't let them capture her again. The moment they had her, everything would be lost. His heart raced as he moved from soldier to soldier, taking them down with quick, controlled movements. But the Karvok just kept coming. In the distance, Liam saw a figure, Zethar. The Karvok commander had arrived, his eyes burning with rage. He was different now, armored and more dangerous than ever. He had brought reinforcements. There was no way they could keep this up much longer. Liam clenched his fists. He would not let Zethar win. Not after everything they had been through. With a roar, Zethar charged toward Liam, his blade raised high. Liam met him head-on, their clash shaking the ground beneath them. The two were locked in a fierce struggle, their strength evenly matched. Sparks flew as their weapons collided, and the air was thick with the sound of their grunts and the clash of metal. But in the midst of their fight, Liam saw Ellie. She had left her hiding place and was running toward him, determined to help. Liam's heart twisted with fear. What was she thinking? "Ellie, get back!" Liam shouted, but it was too late. Zethar's eyes locked onto Ellie, and with a swift motion, he knocked Liam aside, sending him crashing into a nearby boulder. He didn't have time to recover before Zethar lunged at Ellie, his blade raised. But just as Zethar swung down, a blinding flash of light erupted from Liam's armor. He had activated his most powerful weapon, the Viridian Pulse. The blast struck Zethar square in the chest, sending him flying backward, his armor cracked and sparking. The Karva commander lay unconscious on the ground, his soldiers scattered and retreating. Liam rushed to Ellie's side, his heart pounding. She was safe. "We did it," Liam said, his voice full of relief. "It's over." Ellie looked up at him, her eyes filled with pride. "We made it, Dad. Together." And as the dust settled around them, Liam knew that no matter what came next, he would always protect his daughter. They had survived the impossible, and now, together, they were free.